Hello, and welcome to a Sunny Book Nook. Today I am bringing to you another video in which I am a hater who hates. My name is Sunny, I use they them pronouns, and today I'm going to be talking about some overhyped or highly rated books according to Goodreads that I did not really enjoy or think are just overhyped. So I might like them, but I don't think they deserve the amount of praise that they get. So let's just get right into it and go through some of these somewhat probably unpopular opinions based on the fact that they are very highly rated on Goodreads and not by me. The first book on this list is The Inheritance Games, and this book is a young adult mystery, and I found it deeply, deeply boring to get through because we're basically following this girl who gets a notice that this really rich dude is leaving her all of his money, as a part of his will, but the caveat is that she has to live in his house, and his house, there's these 4 brothers or something who live there, and it kind of feels like a reverse harem romance type thing in some ways, but it's a YA and it's just not that interesting. I don't understand why so many people like it, because to me, I found it incredibly not much seemed to be happening except her trying to figure out what was going on, but because she didn't really have any real access to the information, it was just a lot of fucking around with these boys who are the actual descendants of this old rich dude who died. And the ending just did not feel that satisfactory to me. The payoff didn't feel like anything significant in my opinion, but hey, maybe that's just me being a hater as usual. The next book on my list is going to get me a lot of hate from my lesbian bays. I'm so sorry guys, but I can't stand Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, and I really like her other book, Princess Florinda and the 45 Tower. That's one of my favorites of all time, but this book, I know everyone loves it for the goth, dark, necromancy and space, enemies to lovers type thing, but I don't know, the world didn't ever feel fleshed out to me. And maybe that's on me for not really fully understanding this sci-fi fantasy universe, but it just never really clicked for me. And because I didn't really process the world, and since I felt like the plot of the book and what was actually going on was kind of boring and stupid, it didn't really make much sense, I guess, the order of events and what ended up playing out. I don't think that the relationship was good either. I didn't find it something that I could really grasp onto. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm just a fucking hater, but I really did not like this. I don't think it's because of the genre or the setting or anything, because I've read plenty of queer space opera type books. I just don't think this one really did it for me, and I think I rated it 2 stars when I read it, 2 years ago, and I did not really like it. So, whatever. I wish I loved this because all the other dykes do, but sorry, not for me. Oh my god, another sapphic fantasy that I am not the biggest fan of is Foundry Side. This book, I think I rated it 3 stars on Goodreads, so it's not bad per se, it's just it gets a lot of hype on the fantasy side of BookTube that I am just not buying into. It's why I picked it up in the first place, but I think my Goodreads review of it was this is Walmart Mistborn, and I still stand by that. I think that the magic system of the codes and stuff, that's cool. That world of this merchant city, okay, fine. But I felt the pacing and the characters, again, it wasn't substantial enough for me to really grasp onto and fully enjoy, I don't think. But maybe that's just me. That's sort of the major caveat of this entire video. Maybe that's on me, but whatever. Alright, another YA mystery series, because the Inheritance Games is a series as well. But this YA mystery series is one that I conceptually enjoy, but the delivery wasn't to my full enjoyment, because it's Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I've read all of the books in the series, and the first 3 books I rated 3 stars, all of them. I thought they were all mid at best. The last book in the series so far right now, the most recent one that came out, I really enjoyed. I think it's called The Box in the Woods? So I really don't remember what it's called, but the last book in the Truly Devious series is not set at the boarding school, because essentially the opening of the Truly Devious series is basically that there has been this unsolved murder case at this really posh boarding school that only takes very interesting students who are really excellent at one very niche field. And our main character is someone who like wants to be the next Sherlock Holmes. Like, she loves solving mysteries and she's good at it. So her like thesis project for being at the school is trying to solve the mystery, and that's sort of what launches things. And I felt like, I don't know, the cast of characters and everything felt kind of shallow. The romance I wasn't that into. The politics of the book I was like, okay, whatever, why liberalism bullshit. But the last book in the series I really enjoyed. I think I gave it like 4 or 4.5 stars. I read it over the summer, I think, and it was really gripping, but it was also set at like summer camp. But these books that are set at the school, I do like a posh boarding school setting, don't get me wrong, and I didn't think the setting was why I didn't fuck with it. I think it was just the actual mystery itself unfolding was something that I didn't really enjoy. I think what's consistent about all 3 of these, or all 4 at this point, all of the books in this series, is that Stevie, I think, is the main character's name. I'm really bad at remembering character names, so I don't know. But our main character, the detective girlie, she is collecting clues and trying to put pieces together, but we don't necessarily get her thought process of how she comes to the conclusion that she comes to until like maybe the last 20 to 10% of the book, where she does like this big extensive reveal, and I love that shit. But at the same time, in the first few books of the series, I found it, I think, a little less satisfying, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, I think this is a fine mystery series. It just has a lot of hype and praise, and it's a bestseller, and I get why, but I am not the biggest Maureen Johnson fan, I guess. Okay, the next YA contemporary book that I'm gonna talk about here. Apologizing in advance, because this was huge on BookTube like 5 to 10 years ago, and that is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I picked it up because Paperback Dreams, aka Kat, was like gushing, ranting, raving about it. And so I read it, and I was like, I mean, this is fine. Like, I think it tries to, and it is explicit in subverting the things that it wants to subvert in the genre, but I felt it kind of corny and on the nose at some points, and it didn't really emotionally tie me into it the way that I think it has for other people. I think I rated it 3 stars when I read it. It just didn't really stick with me. Even the plot now I'm thinking about, I don't really remember what happens. It just is not that memorable. I don't think I really fuck with Alice Oseman's like writing per se. I mean, I love Heartstopper, the comic series, everyone does, but I think that the books that the Heartstopper comics are like set in, like the world that those books constructed, I'm not necessarily as interested in per se. I feel like that's fair though, you know? I just don't think her writing style regarding narration and not just dialogue necessarily, it feels a little bit melodramatic. I mean, teenagers are melodramatic, but in ways that I don't necessarily enjoy or fuck with, I guess. I don't know, I'm just not inclined to pick up any of her prose novels, I suppose. And then I have a modern queer classic, Call Me By Your Name. I read this a couple summers ago, and I understand like the rich beauty of the language and landscape, but I'm unconvinced. I think I give it like 3 stars. I just am not... I'm not a fan of this writing style per se, and I'm not a fan of this concept and the delivery of it, and summer love, desire, that's cut short, whatever, I don't know. The movie was good, the book is meh for me. There's not really much to say about this. I just know because it's a beloved queer classic, my 2 cents is that I don't like it. I think it's meh. I think that the language and the prose, I understand why people enjoy it. It's just not necessarily for me. And I think that's fine. So yeah, I rated it like 3 stars, I think. And finally, I have another YA fantasy series to talk about regarding how I think it is incredibly overhyped. And that is the Daevabad trilogy, or The City of Brass is the first book in it. I did not like this. I really did not like the romance. I thought that the world building was okay. The political world, meh. The magic, eh. But really, because what drives the story seems to be like the romance and the relationships between the characters, and I think the main character very insufferable in a way that, or like, it was either that, it just was not an enjoyable reading experience for me, and as I was going through it, I was like, why do so many people love this? I really don't see it. I fear I do not see the vision, and I don't get it. So many people love this series, and it's just not for me. I don't think things are fleshed out well enough in a way that makes me invested and interested, and I don't know. It's just not, it's not my favorite. I think I've read so many other fantasies that are so much better. And this world and this political setting and these characters are not ones that really pull me in. It's also just like so heterosexual in this annoying way with the djinn and the girl and the, I don't know. I think the premise is interesting. Delivery, not so great, in my opinion. So that's it for this rendition of my unpopular bookish opinions, this rendition of books that I think are overhyped. I have more books on this list, definitely, probably, but let me know if you want to hear more. Let me know if you want to see more of this. I'm happy to hate. I don't necessarily have as much to say, though, because if I don't like a book, or if I think it's overhyped, or I didn't rate it highly, it's not going to be sticking in my mind anyway, so I'm not going to remember the experience of reading it besides this vague distaste. I'm so much better, I think, at explaining books that I really enjoy in depth than I am at explaining books that I really don't give a fuck about. I don't know, I feel like a lot of people have the opposite problem of only being able to say, oh my god, I love this book, but not explain like the book or why, but like love to rant about books they hate. But for me, it's very much the opposite, because if I don't like a book, I just don't like it. I'm gonna hate on it, but I don't necessarily have a good reason as to why. It's just the vibes, you know? Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like this video if you haven't already, and comment down below if you agree with me or if you think I'm very wrong and why. Because, listen, I mean, I don't necessarily care about people's opinions disagreeing with me, because I know that's a given, that's gonna happen. But I am interested to see people's reasoning why. Because sometimes I hear people's opinions about my favorite books and I'm like, that's just so fucking wrong, and I get so angry. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video, hopefully. Bye.